Hey everyone, I am Exit over here, and I am here to review Arrow Season 7, Episode 7, The Slabside Redemption, which is all about Oliver trying to fight his way through a prison riot to get to Ricardo Diaz, and it was amazing. So spoilers for the episode from this point on. So the entirety of this episode was set in the prison or the surrounding areas of the prison, and I really liked how this episode kind of started out. It started out with a slow build-up to the actual prison riot happening, and I thought that was great. You know, we saw Oliver kind of wrapping everything up as he knew he was getting an early release in a couple hours, so he told Stanley that he knows that he was the one who killed the police guards, or I forget his name. He went to Ben Turner, Bronze Tiger, saying like, I'm sorry that what happened to you. I know it wasn't you who killed the prison guard, so when I get out of here, I'm gonna get my friends to help you get out of the hole. And that was really great. I liked that scene because Oliver was like, you know what, Bronze Tiger, at one stage you were a hero. Back with Argus, you did the right thing, and I know you can do the right thing again. And that was all really, really nice. It was a nice little scene. One thing I did kind of dislike about the whole thing is that the police guard who's looking over Oliver, he still kept referring to Oliver as inmate 4587, despite the fact that Oliver was getting released in a few hours. So obviously Oliver wasn't, a criminal like everyone else, but he still would refuse to call him, Oliver or Queen. Although it did lead up to a good little he got a kind of a payoff towards the end of the episode, so I guess it kind of worked out in the end, but it was annoying at the start for me because I was like, why doesn't he just call him by his name? It's obvious he's not just another criminal like everyone else. But then Ricardo Diaz comes to see Oliver in the prison, and this scene, it was one of the best things to come out of this season overall. It was Ricardo was winding Oliver up. He was like, I'm going to kill you. You're going to die in that prison. I'm going to kill your family. All of those things. And he's like, and you know what? You're not going to be able to stop me. This entire prison is going to be under my control because I know how to control guards and you don't. And Oliver, it ticks Oliver off completely. Oliver loses it and starts smashing on the glass trying to get through to Diaz. And he almost does. He breaks a lot of that glass before the guards actually stop him and tase him. And Oliver didn't care. He didn't care if he didn't get his early release. He needed to get to Diaz right then and there. And I felt the anger. It was so good. And then this all leads up to Oliver going back to his cell and being like, listen guys, Ricardo Diaz is coming. You don't know how to stop him. I do. So why don't you let me go? And I'll go and, take care of Diaz and we can go our separate ways. And so basically for the next 30 minutes, it's just all prison riots, fights, Oliver doing cool ass stunts, beating prisoners, Diaz shooting guards. It's insane, but it's so good. There were a lot of one takes in this episode. I'm sure there were hidden cuts that I didn't really notice, but it really seemed like a lot of the fight scenes were one take fight scenes with quick edits here or there. But like especially the scene where Oliver walks out of his cell and he's talking to the guard, and the guard's like, inmate 4587, get back into your cell, and Oliver's like, you need to let me go. There's a whole sequence where I don't think this is one take, I'm pretty sure this had cuts in it, but the sequence where he gets past all the guards, he only hits 2 or 3 guards, but he does a lot of parkour tricks to climb up, get past them, and to get away from them all. That was so good. This is the type of things that Arrow always excels at. James Bamford's stunt scenes, his fight scenes. Arrow is always at its best during these moments, but it was so good. And basically every fight scene or combat scene or stunt scene in this episode was done to the same caliber as that. At one point, Ben Turner actually saves Oliver from Brick and Derek Sampson because they were about to kill him, and Ben just comes out of nowhere and he starts fighting them, and that was all brilliant. I like that they gave Ben a quick redemption arc, and this really makes me think that we're going to see him again, because Brick and Derek both die in this episode. Brick due to Stanley, and Samson burns and falls off. I know it's possible to come back because it is Arrow, but like, let's face it, everyone, we're getting dangerously close to to less and less number of episodes. We're getting dangerously close to the end of Arrow. So I have a feeling that both Vinnie Jones as Brick and Cody Rhodes as Derek Sampson, I'm pretty sure they're done. Because, you know, I can't, both of them, they died in a way that's going to be hard to bring them back. Speaking of Stanley killing Brick, we got the reveal that he is Stanley Dover from the Green Arrow comics. And I actually called this last week. I was meant to do a video during the week talking about how Stanley is most likely Stanley Dover from the comics, but I never did. I did a Black Star one instead, and I'm actually raging that I didn't do that Stanley Dover video, because I was like, one, it's probably not something worth doing a video on, and two, if it turns out not to be true, I'm gonna look like an idiot. But yeah, it turned out Stanley Dover he's a pretty minor Green Arrow comic, or Green Arrow character, sorry, not comic. He was in the Kevin Smith run for the first 10 issues back in 2001, just after Oliver Queen came back from the dead, and his house was where, or his mansion was where Oliver lived, and Maya Dearden lived for the first while after Oliver came back. It turned out that he was really into satanic stuff. He would sacrifice children to this monster thing. He ended up dying because Oliver and Connor Hawke teamed up to fight him, and they kind of took him out, and then the monster that he was sacrificing the children to came out and ate Stanley. It's a big kind of dark storyline that I don't think that they'll do fully in the show, but it's cool to know that they're using that character. I don't think it's going to be near as dark as in the comics, but the scene where he stabbed Oliver in the leg, he tied Oliver up, and he's like, you're going to kill me because you think I'm a criminal. And he's like, those people had it coming. Talk about all the people he killed. That was some really good acting. This whole scene was just great, and it was like Oliver was finally done. He was like, okay, Stanley, I've given you time to let me go. You're not going to let me go. So he just completely kicks Stanley, knocks him down in basically 2 seconds flat, and just walks out. But this is obviously setting up Stanley. He escaped the Slabside, so it's setting him up for something down the line, just like it's setting up Ben Turner to come back this season, I'd imagine, in hopefully a semi-hero kind of thing, maybe an anti-hero kind of thing, which I think could be interesting. But Stanley, he's going to be a villain, or he's going to be a small antagonist down the line. Maybe there'll be some murders in Starling. I keep calling it Starling, Star City, sorry. Maybe there'll just be a lot of consecutive things that Green Arrow has to investigate, and thus brings him to finding Stanley. Finally, we have all the Ricardo, Diaz, and Oliver stuff, and a lot of their fight scenes were great. One thing that was a little weird, though, was that during the one fight scene between Oliver and Diaz, it really didn't seem like Diaz had the super strength or the serum he took. It didn't seem like he had any exactly, non-human strength. There was a bit where Oliver led him down to his cell, and Diaz kicked Oliver, and he kind of went flying a little bit. That did look like he had strength there, but everything else just looked like normal Diaz strength. So I'm a little bit weird. I'm wondering if maybe the serum doesn't work all the time or something. But a lot of people I know think that Diaz died in that scene in the cell. I actually didn't see it that way. I saw Oliver locking him in the cell as Oliver basically being like, you're going to end up in prison, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison, and closing the cell. I didn't see that as Diaz dying, because one, I think Oliver killing Diaz is just another going back on all the times Oliver has tried to stop killing, and I don't want them to do that. But on top of that, I think like this was a great place to cap Diaz's story. The only thing is that Ricardo Diaz's actor, what's his name, Acevedo, or I forget, but he is actually supposed to be regular for this season, but I really hope that's just a misdirect, and this actually is the last episode of his arc, because I would really hate for him to break out and come against Oliver again, because I feel like this was a perfect place to end that story for him. But at the end, Oliver got out of prison. Ben is being treated pretty fair, well, hopefully fairly by the guards now, since he helped them. And this really was kind of a game-changing episode, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go forward from here. But I loved it. I think there was very little in this episode that made me go, I don't like that they did that. So yeah, this is by far the best episode of the season in my opinion. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. But thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, and have a great day.